So this chapter is on 8D, learning how to multiply and divide with powers of 10. So in this chapter, we're going to cover basically how is it that you multiply by powers of 10, like 10, 100, 1,000, but also what to do when they're in decimal form. So timesing by 0.1, 0.01, or dividing by 0.1 or 0.01. So here's a few things you need to know. They are all similar to each other. It's just you have to understand how to interpret it. So timesing by 10 is actually the same thing as dividing by 1/10, which is the same thing as saying dividing by 0.1. Dividing by 10 is the same thing as saying multiplying by 1/10 or multiplying by 0.1. Now, applying the same theory of what we just did, timesing by 10 and dividing by 10, working with hundreds, it's the same idea. Timesing by 100 is the same as dividing by 1 over 100, which is the same as dividing by 0.01, because that's 100ths. And dividing by 100 is the same as multiplying by 1 out of 100, or multiplying by 0.01. So when we get an unusual number, just giving you a side comment, timesing by 2, that's the same thing as dividing by 1/2. Timesing by 3 is the same as dividing by 1/3. Or if you see timesing it by 1/2, it's the same thing as saying dividing it by 2. Timesing it by 1/3 is the same as dividing it by 3. And there's a reason behind all this, but we haven't gotten into that detail quite yet in this grade. So for now, just understand the relationship, and I will elaborate this more during class. So let's look at a few examples. Now, before we continue, first of all, you need to know a general rule. When you're multiplying by 10 or 100 or 1,000, the number zeros moves the decimal to the left. So if I had 7.5 times 10, I'm basically counting, oh, there's 1 0, move this decimal, not to the left, sorry, my mistake, to the right, 1 to the right. So this answer is going to be 75. If I had 7.5 times 100, 2 zeros means I move the decimal 2 spots to the left. So let me rewrite it down here, 7.5, 2 spots, 1, 2. Now see there's this missing space. I'm going to fill it in with a 0, so this makes 750. Now, when I'm dividing by 10, that 1 0 makes me move my decimal to the left. So division, you move left. Multiplication, you move right. So just remember the difference. Because when you move right, the number gets bigger. When you move the decimal to the left, the number gets smaller. So 7.5, move the decimal 1 spot over, it makes 0.75. If I had 7.5 divided by 100, that's 2 zeros, move the decimal twice to the left, 1, 2. And again, fill it in with a 0 so you have something, and put your decimal down exactly where the arrow ends. So 0.075. And yes, you should put a 0 in the ones place just to indicate there's something there. Now I'm going to show example 4a and 4f. So in 4a, we have 3 times 0.1. And remember what I said earlier, that timesing by 0.1 is the same as dividing by 10. So rewrite this as 3 divided by 10. And remember what we said, we move that decimal 1 spot to the left. And here the 3 has no decimal. That's why you put an imaginary 1 behind it, because it's a whole number. Technically, in a whole number, the decimal is behind it. And move it 1 spot. So that makes 0.3. In 4f, you have 9 divided by 0.1. And remember, I said that dividing by 0.1 is the same as timesing by 10. So rewrite it as 9 times 10, and there you go. You have 90. And that's it.